What's going on, Solid Steppers? What's up, Tech to Titans 2.0? This is Miss Ward coming to you from the equestrian world of Ocala. Right now I'm riding through Ocala, getting ready to head up to Georgia. And I was just thinking to myself, I always reflect on life and things like that. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself about how many people are out here leapfrogging. They're not consistent about anything in life. So like, share, and subscribe. This is going to be a good one. So I was sitting here listening to my morning inspiration. And I was thinking about how many times people fall for the shiny objects syndrome. The fact that it's not working. You've been working on a business, you've been working on a project for a couple of months, you're not seeing the results, and you decide to hop to another project. And when you look up, a year has passed, you've lost your money, you damn near lost your mind, and you ain't got nothing to show for it. At the end of the day, you have to realize success comes from consistency. It comes from planning, having a plan, having a process, and above all else, having systems and measurement. If you want to eliminate hopping from thing to thing, you got to get some discipline and you got to get some consistency. You hear me preach that on this channel all the time. Like right now, let's just talk about what I do. I'm in the appliance repair industry. When I got in it, I did everything so I could figure out what I like to do and what was more profitable. I had to gather the data. If you go back to my earlier videos, you see me stress the importance of gathering the data so that you know, number one, what your skill set is, what you like to do in the industry, and where the profit is. So then as you focus on your business, you know exactly where you need to focus on. So what was my synopsis for me? When I came into the business, the first thing I did was did data research on my customer or my avatar. I knew I wanted to work with customers who had discretionary income and who could afford to pay for my services. That I wasn't going to have to worry about financing. I wouldn't have to worry about, all that whining and this and that and, can you work with me? No, I can't work with you. This is a business. That's why I have a foundation and a charity. I work with that on that side. You know what I mean? I sleep well at night because there's plenty of people I done gave free washers and dryers to, and, people who had kids and, they couldn't afford. I've done that, because I understand that life. But what I'm trying to explain to y'all, business is business. So I had to do the research. So the first thing I did was I looked at zip codes, I looked at her per capita income, I looked at household income, and most of all, I looked at home prices and things of that nature. When I started in South Florida. So that was one of my things. The other thing was I wasn't about to be working with no roaches and rats. I wasn't dealing with rental car properties. I wasn't going in areas where people, may not have that same belief system, or, they didn't take care of X, Y, and Z. Because one thing you're going to find out when you work in business and life, particularly in home service, you always know the people who have a business and who life is in order. You go in, the house is clean, it's quiet, they're hospitable, no issues. I knew how to weed out the problem customers because I don't live that way and I'm not going to be around anyone. Now, I have walked into multi-million-dollar homes where people were hoarders. That's a mental situation. And I never forget, I had one. In fact, I actually just saw them this week. That was hilarious. And the first time I saw this particular situation, the customer had an issue with the refrigerator. We were going to have to go in. The seal system had failed, and we were going to have to go in with torches, cut out the compressor, evac recharge, all that good stuff. And if anyone knows SEAL systems, you need to have the best ideal situation is to have space to do the job, to be able to move things out the way, and have space to work. Let me tell you something. You have no idea. When I went to that house and saw that, and I said, let me share something with you. I'm not doing this. I don't work in these environments. You reach out to me when you get your life together and get this clean. Get this shit cleaned up, because I'm not working here. You might live like this, and it wasn't that it was nasty. It was that it was cluttered and junky, and I wasn't working in it. And this was early in my career in this industry. That just lets you know I'm just no nonsense, and I take such pride in the caliber of work that I do. I can command a certain price. I can command a certain level of respect. It's not that I'm better than anybody, but at some point you have to put your foot down. Now, early on in my career, did I have to deal with a couple of albino roaches? Absolutely. And that happened because I had to learn where the the slumlord situations were. I'll never forget this time. I'm going to tell y'all the story, because y'all know I got a story for every damn thing. I've been living long enough. You'll have a story for everything too. And it broke my heart. I walk into this rental. There's an older woman there. There's several little babies running around with Pampers on. I assume they were her grandchildren. Ages, 6 months up to 3, 4, 5 years old. But they love their grandma. She doing the best she can. The house was really, really clean, though. Very, very clean. And so there was a problem with the stove, and those in the industry, we all know, and particularly when you're in places like Florida, even your high-end rentals, sometimes you go in and you'll see water bugs or whatever, because it's part of the climate. But let me tell you something. I pulled that stove out. I pulled the back off, and then the roaches started. It was so many damn roaches, damn albinos to change. They done went from albino to brown, the albino to brown, albino to black, the German cockroaches, man. It was what it was. And the landlord was outside, And so the lady was there, and I said, ma'am, you want to come here? Because I didn't want to say it out loud. So I said, do you want to spray or do anything with this before I put this cover back on? Because I didn't want to embarrass her. And so then I go outside, and I'm wrapping it up, and, because I want people to have their dignity. See, this is what people don't understand. Some people's situations are generational. I'm a firm believer that most of the issues we have in America, I know I'm going to catch hell for this. I don't really care. But you got to realize I'm a woman of color with a preference, okay? And so I have dealt with every level of what they call discrimination in the world, but I don't allow it to affect me, simply because I knew if I was born this way, God gave me everything, not only to excel, but gave me the gifts to overcome any obstacles, as long as I put God first. And the reason I'm saying that is, in America, most of our issues come from what I call classism and exposure, and just investment in choices. And you will see generations locked in a cycle. You'll see one or two get out and they never come back, and you wonder why. Because there's certain things you can't change, and people believe that, and they believe this. As long as they're doing better than the people before them, they think they're winning. They don't understand that better is not good enough. You got to get all the way out, and you got to stay out. And then you got to change your mindset. You got to change your surroundings. And you got to realize it is the most uncomfortable thing, because you was raised in the bullshit. Okay? That's a real situation. So the one reason I do these videos is because I know there are people who speak my language, people who understand me. They're only going to absorb things from me because I understand my life is a sermon, Am I perfect? Hell no. There's people that I have handled improperly in my passion, and I own that. But at the same time, it's what keep getting up and getting at that bag. And I'm always, in fact, I was just talking to my partner last night. Do you know how long it took for me to even take the time to, cultivate a relationship where we can sit and talk about our vacation homes and things like that. People like, woo, woo, woo. What y'all don't understand is everything is work. From your business to partnerships to relationships, everything is work. And if you're not willing to put the work in, what's going to happen to you? You got to put the work in. So we're going to bring my ass right back over here to this leapfrogging, because I done went off on a tangent. But I am one of those people that if it drop in my spirit, I understand I'm supposed to share it. I'm supposed to share these things with you. You know? Y'all, I got to figure out where I'm going. Y'all give me a minute, because I just realized where I'm at. I done already got to the express. Say, what's up, Highway 75? Anybody going to Orlando? Anybody going to Disney? Anybody going to Busch Gardens? What's up? Thank God I'm going in the opposite way, honey. And then all y'all people leaving Disney, Tampa, Busch Gardens. Y'all need to drive safely. Like my grandma used to say growing up, the devil is a liar. Traveling mercies. So as I was saying, you shouldn't be leapfrogging from business to business. Stabilize where you are. Yes, it's going to be ups and downs. You may not get the results you want, but learn the lessons in it. And you can't learn the lessons if you don't stay in the business long enough to fine-tune your skills. And what do I mean? When you have, and I'm going to talk about appliance repair. I watch people go and sign up. They follow a certain blueprint. You know, some people, their blueprint is go work for somebody else, learn the trade, then start doing little side jobs, and do a little your ad or whatever however they do it. Because I do not condone people stealing or undercutting their boss to get jobs. I need to do a whole video on those clowns. Because what people don't understand, if the way you get it is the way you lose it. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't nothing slick in this world. I know people who have went in for companies supposed to represent companies. They go in, give the customer a price, and then I get approached all the time because I don't tell people I'm the owner. I get approached all the time. Well, can you do this on the side? Or you ever do any side work? Hell no, I don't do no damn side work. I really get them look like, I never. I give them that look like, don't you dare ask me that bull. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, not only is it about integrity, but it's about energy and what you attract. So if you feel you got the steel to get ahead, then that means that's a lack of scarcity. That's an integrity compromise, and that's a scarcity mindset. And that you don't understand what your source and your supply is. You shouldn't have to steal from anybody. You just need to get out here and get your bag, put one foot in front of the other, critique yourself on a daily basis, and get better every day. I don't care if it's 1%. Because then you develop something called a compounding effect. That's what you want. Y'all out here playing. How about I do not like it when I see those ladders on the back of trucks like that, but it's none of my business. Let me let you get way ahead of me with that thing. You see how I'm over here in the slow lane, y'all? Because where I'm cruising, I am in front of schedule and on the way to save the day. So you have to sit in a business long enough to work out the kinks. So people will go work for somebody else. They'll go to trade school or go to community school, college. They'll go online and take some courses. What kills me is these clowns that think they can just do YouTube and go work on people's shit. Let me tell you something. The only way that might work is if you are in a front-facing customer service industry and you are mechanically inclined and you know how you have such a disposition that you can adapt to any surrounding. See, my win-win for me is that my customers from the jump are comfortable with me. because I vet them. Little do they know, I'm checking to see if I like them more than they like me. You understand what I'm saying? I'm looking at the little quirks. I'm watching how our communication goes, and I have no problem with recommending you to somebody that speaks that language you speak, if you know what I mean. Because there are some people I'll never forget. I'll give y'all a prime example. I was irritated, because I'm one of the people, I answer the phone. I answer the phone in my business all the time. And I do it because, people be like CSR, blah, blah, blah. I have my business set up in a way that I don't have those problems because the customers I target are text-friendly customers. They're tech-friendly customers, so they prefer everything online, everything through the phone, everything through text. They are looking at their updates like that because they are busy professionals such as myself. And then you got some other people that's from 1920 that want to call me on the phone in the middle of a job, and I'll never forget, I picked up the phone. I kept telling this gentleman, I'm in the middle of a repair. Can I give you a call back? What have you? He said, well, can I ask you something quickly? I'm like, is this motherfucker, can he hear me? Can he hear me? And it was a simple repair. I probably would have made about $500-$600 off it. And it would have took me 30 minutes. And that's all I was thinking, like, okay, I can do this shit real quick. I'll swing by, knock that out, blah, blah, blah. But his ass was so damn irritating. And it wasn't to his discredit. He was just the type of person that really wanted to talk to you. And I don't have a problem with it. What my problem is that when I kept telling him I need to get off the phone, he was adamant. I said, bro, but I understand. See, for me, it happens all the time when I answer the phone because, we still in America where people think women's supposed to be barefoot in the kitchen and pregnant. So when I answer the phone, they always think I'm a receptionist because I answer it in a professional manner because I'm a professional. I'm a business owner. I'm going to be courteous. I'm going to listen to understand and comprehend and to be of service. The problem is when I'm in the middle of a high pressure repair, and I can't blame them because my ass shouldn't answer the phone, but it's a knee-jerk habit. If my phone rings, I answer it because I was raised in sales, and I know that I need to get it in the first couple of rings. And when I answered it, he was shocked. He was like, "Oh, I thought you guys were closed," and blah, blah. He was pleasantly surprised. All that to just say that I didn't service this gentleman. And it could have been an easy situation, but what I did was I critiqued myself. I said, you know what? You shouldn't have answered that damn phone. You know you was in the middle of something. You can't get mad if it go left or right. You follow me? But what I'm saying is that's one of those customers that would have taken up a lot of my time, and he needed that kind of attention, and I'm not knocking that. But if I can't provide that because my demand is so high and I can't provide the caliber of service that customer needs, I'm not going to do it. Because the guy, I would have had to go sit down and have coffee with this man. I don't have that kind of time. I cover 4 states, and I'm surgical with my shit. Period. Because I have quotas to hit, but I learned that lesson. Every call I don't need to answer. That's what I'm talking about, staying in business long enough. See, the problem with my industry is there's such a low barrier to entry if you don't care about people. If you think it's a hustle and a lick, and then you get in here and find out, no, it ain't what I thought. Because if you got a conscience and you just taking advantage of people, eventually it's gonna catch up with you in more ways than one. You got to watch that energy you're putting out there. Like I'll be back out in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Right now I'm in, like you just saw me, I'm coming out of Ocala, Florida, headed up to Georgia, and a little town called Valdosta. And then from there, I'm going to end my day in Jacksonville, Florida, because I have parts to pick up from Marcone in the morning for the jobs I have to service in the South Carolinas. See, this is what people don't understand. All my moves are very strategic, and there are things in my life that allow that to happen. But I've been doing it since 2019, and it started as a side thing because I had a 6-figure job and I was fine. I was financially fine, but I knew that I needed to take my mechanical abilities into something else, and then the little Demic situation hit, and when that hit, I was fine. I was on salary. My money was fine at all times, but the problem was I didn't like how the company was treating the people, and because I was part of that upper level management, I was like, yeah, because I realized people don't work for companies, they work for people, and I'm not going to lie to these people. I'm not going to pimp them out. I'm not, at the time, nobody knew what to do because the protocol was jacked up, and God had blessed me to pick up a career and a hobby and a passion that allowed me to be an essential worker. So while everybody was sitting here worried, I was covered with the grace. I'm just trying to tell y'all, it ain't me. And I took advantage of the situation because the floodgates opened up because everybody was leaving because they were scared to go into people's homes. With me, I don't give shit. I don't care. I'm fearless. You know what I'm saying? And I had certain protocols I followed. So I was blessed. I never had an issue during that period of time. Never got sick. Never nothing. Never had. Now, everybody around me was scared. It was funny because all the scared people around me was catching it. It was hilarious. They was in there amongst themselves and they people quarantined, catching hell, catching purity hell. And I was out here fancy free with no symptoms, no issues. But it wasn't me. It was the grace. See, when you start taking granted for your own stuff, that's when something catch up with your ass. I'm going to tell you that right now. Y'all better get humble. I ain't gonna sit here and say I'm better than nobody else. I understand even on this road that I am covered by grace and mercy, and I give all praise. You feel me? Y'all gotta realize I come from a different background. My father's side of my family is Muslim. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. My mother's side of my family is Christian, and they everything from Pentecostal to Southern Baptist. Boy, what? So I got it all, So at the end of the day, y'all got to understand this thing is bigger than y'all. And y'all got to understand that favor ain't fair, that you got to just keep getting up. And I'm favored. I'm watching my friends go through situations that are horrifying me, particularly the older I get. And it's not like I made all the perfect decisions. I swear to God, I made plenty of mistakes. But I know every day I get up, I get an opportunity to make a new one. And so do you. I want y'all to take a moment and be thankful for where you are. I want you to rethink some of your choices. Some of y'all getting ready to make a different decision. And I'd love for you to put in the comments what is working for you. How do you maintain your focus on that one business? How do you maintain that discipline in your life? And above all else, your consistency and your faith. With that said, y'all, I'm going to let y'all go because I'm going to sit down and meditate as I drive, clear my spirit, clear my mind, and feed my soul. And I suggest you do the same. Solid steppers keep stepping. Take the tights. See you at the top. Be blessed, y'all. And Miss Ward loves y'all. Have a great day.